Don't you hate pants?
Here's Brunette. Brunette's in. Andrew Brunette shot a score. Andrew Brunette in sudden death overtime. And Minnesota is moving on.
I won't need my high school diploma anymore. I am smart. I am smart. I am smart. I am smart. S-M-R-T. I mean S-M-A-R-T.
Played here by Danny Heatley, and out they come 2-on-1. This is Niederreiter holding on to it, and he scores! Niederreiter wins the series for the Minnesota Wild.
Welcome to episode 49 of Giles and Ben's podcast, where we are recording here at the bar at Grumpy's as they're playing.
They're playing Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Music bingo overhead as we're trying to record. So if you catch some music as we're recording, that's why. And if I jump into a particular tune of that's a favorite of mine, don't be surprised.
You have had enough beers to sing. We've already found that out.
Oh, I don't know. I've only had a couple beers, had some food, so I'm pretty good.
It's fine.
I'm not definitely going to be on a decline as I have on previous podcasts, as some would hope. But yeah, I guess before we jump into it, do you have any thoughts from WrestleMania? Since, that was pretty hot topic on.
I left before the main event. Luckily for me. I don't know. It was a down year. Everyone knew it was gonna be a down year. It wasn't anything great. It was okay. It was just everyone's going to see the GIF over and over again of Shane McMahon jumping off the top of Hell in a Cell. That's going to be the takeaway from this WrestleMania, and that's probably fine. That's a WrestleMania moment. That's makes for a hell of an entertaining 5 seconds of video, and that's about all you need. So,
hot damn!
Oh God! And they played Journey.
Let's play some lyrics. Anyway,
I don't know if it picked it up, but it's definitely don't stop believing.
Podcast. I don't want to scare listeners away. But
we're doing so well.
Journey did come on. And God bless it. It sounds so wonderful.
Enjoyed that.
I did. I really did. I guess that's kind of a ironic way to go right into our our recap of last week's Wild games, where they beat Chicago at home to make it a 6-game winning streak.
Yeah.
And then they subsequently followed by crapping the bed against Ottawa and at Detroit and at Winnipeg. And with Colorado not playing well at all and not winning at all, the Wild had a couple shots to wrap up a playoff spot, and they didn't. And, well, here we are, just once again back in right into the playoff picture, if you will.
Well, I mean, the good news is now that the magic number is 1, right? I mean, that's so they've got 2 games to get 1 win or 3 games to get a Colorado loss, basically. So you really, I mean, certainly, it's possible that they don't make the playoffs. But at this point, I mean, let's be serious. Like, there's just no way that the Avs are going to run the table with the way they're playing right now. They're playing pretty horribly, and I think if you're writing this story from the outside, it's definitely the Avs kind of choking away a playoff spot and gift wrapping it for the Wild, because as good as the Wild were, and the 6-game winning streak was huge, and there was a huge reason why they're in the position they're in, they just really haven't been consistent enough aside from that to warrant being a playoff team. And the Avs basically are the reason why the Wild are a playoff team, and that's all there is to it. As unfortunate as that is.
Any other year in the Central Division, and the Wild would be out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't even be close with the way they're playing, and it's just they're kind of fortunate right now that the Jets, who were good last year, really fell off this year, and Colorado, for being better in terms of points this year, is still a pretty below average team.
Yep.
And
they're also lucky that the Canadian teams crap to bed. I mean, Calgary and Vancouver both made the playoffs last year, and obviously are nowhere near the same caliber of team this year for various reasons. So it's really kind of been a crime of opportunity for the Wild getting into the playoffs, and there's no other way to slice it. Like, you want to be positive about these kind of things, and I know that it's so cliche for Wild bloggers to be negative, but I mean, seriously, it's just this team isn't good enough to make the playoffs, but it still is. Basically, is what's going on.
People have asked me here in the last week what's going to happen with this team. Are they going to lose in the first round of the playoffs, or are they going to make a deep run? And my first somewhat joking answer is, don't discount the fact that they could just miss the playoffs.
Right.
I kind of say that, half-hearted, but
it's possible.
Still could be possible.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't put it past this team, but it seems like they are kind of a lock to make the playoffs still, despite their ridiculous efforts here in the last week.
And that's just kind of the reality that we're in. And as to whether this team can make a run or not, I mean, every single sign that you're going to look to, every single indicator that you're going to point to is going to say no, because that's just how it works. I mean, there is anybody who says that there is something promising about this team for a playoff run is fooling themselves. And I don't know if they're delusional, or I don't know if they're just rose-colored glasses, or what exactly the deal is. That being said, this team could go theoretically on a playoff run. They have the talent to. It's so outside the realm of possibility that nobody with any kind of advanced knowledge of this team believes in it. But they could. That's the NHL playoffs. We've seen it before. We've seen flat out terrible teams sneak into the playoffs and make runs, and it's entirely possible. Don't bet your child's college education on it, but it is theoretically possible this team wins a series or two.
I just don't know anymore. You try to understand this team just a little bit.
Yeah.
They just continue to throw you for a rope. So I don't know. I'm out of answers for what's going on. They're a mystery. They could win, 2 playoff series, or they could, get swept out of the first round. We don't know.
Yeah.
And I guess just maybe so briefly again, looking ahead to a possible playoff scenario, it looks likely that if the Wild should sneak in, they'll be playing the Dallas Stars, who have a 2-point lead on St. Louis as we record. And, I guess that's not bad, because just for me, it just feels like if the Wild can play it the way they're capable, they can play with Dallas, because they're very structured defensively and in goal. and Dallas is very not structured defensively.
They're kind of like a more talented version of the Avalanche.
Basically, the scouting report on Dallas should be shoot the puck. No matter where you are, shoot the puck.
No matter who they have in net,
Yeah.
just shoot.
They've got 2 goalies. Neither of them are very good.
Yeah.
So you want to shoot the puck.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that the Stars, of all the possible matchups that the Wild are looking at, very outside chance at heading out to the Pacific. Those are scary matchups anyway, you slice it to me. The Blues, well, it's easy to handpick them as your favorite. It feels like something's got to give with the Blues, and that's a scary matchup, even though the Wild beat them in the playoffs last year. So, the Stars not only are the most likely matchup, but I think there's a lot of people out there that think that's the most, that's the best path for the Wild to take. That's the path of least resistance, if there is one in the NHL playoffs, because it's a team that doesn't have a whole lot of playoff experience either, and it's a very talented team. But as you mentioned, it's a team that definitely has its flaws. I mean, they were a pretty horrific defensive team last season, and while they shored that up a little bit, I don't think they're fooling anybody into thinking that they're a lockdown defensive team right now, and that's kind of something that you need in the playoffs. And the goaltending, obviously, is probably the biggest point of them all. So,
yeah. And I guess big shocker this last week was the Duncan Keith suspension.
Sure.
From the stick swinging incident, if you will, with Charlie Coyle. And he ended up getting a 6-game suspension just a few days ago. And I told somebody earlier today, deep down, am I disappointed with that? Yes. But I guess kind of more outwardly, I really wasn't, because one, it's the NHL. I really don't expect them to do anything good at this point. 2, Duncan Keith, Norris Trophy winner of the Chicago Blackhawks, is the player you're dealing with. So I guess, I don't know. It just seems that's kind of how it goes. If it was, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a
David Rundblad.
Yeah, or hell, I can't think of any player on a specific. Like, I'm thinking of different players on different teams, and I don't know. Say it's I don't know.
Third pair defender for the Senators.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or say it's a Jack Skilly of Columbus Blue Jackets.
Right.
I think he still plays for them. That's all I got. It took me 30 minutes to figure out Jack Skilly of the Columbus Blue Jackets. But, that probably would have been a longer suspension. I guess, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, especially he's a repeat offender, and I know they played the whole, well, he's technically not a repeat offender, because it's like, okay, well then, if certain things are going to drop off after certain amounts of time, then why bother having them? It's like, he did the same, not the same thing, but basically, I mean, he swung at another man's head with his stick before against LA. And was that quite some time ago? Yeah, it was a little while ago, but it's not like it happened a decade ago. It's just like, and I don't even want to sound like a Keith apologist, but I understand how those things happen in the heat of a game. But, so I don't think it makes Duncan Keith like a reprehensibly immoral person or anything like that. But you still have to send a message that you can't do that. And I don't know that 6 games sends that message as clearly as you should probably be sending it. And they made the argument that, well, that one playoff game, that one whopping playoff game that he's getting suspended for means more than, a regular season game. Well, yeah, no kidding. Like, so you basically, what, are you saying it's a 7-game suspension? That makes it so much more damaging? No, I mean, if you really want to flex your muscles a little bit, make it 10 games and 4 of those in the playoffs, or 5 of those in the playoffs.
That's a significant impact on a playoff series.
Absolutely. And in all honesty, does Chicago probably survive the first round anyway? I mean, maybe. I don't know. Duncan Keith is pretty good. But, you send the message, and you send it without any kind of hesitation whatsoever. This isn't, look what they did to Rafi Torres. We're sick of your crap. This is it. And message sent. But that's Rafi Torres. That's not Duncan Keith. And so, there's a longer track record with Torres, and Keith is obviously a bigger star, but still, it's like, if you want to bother sending messages, then send a message.
Yeah.
Like that 6 games, it was a slap on the wrist, and I don't understand how people, just because Coyle came back that game and there was no ill effects, I don't know how people can downplay the severity of what happened. I mean, it was a plain and simple, it was a swing of the stick directly to his face. And, I totally understand. I'm not understand, but I totally get Chicago fans defending it, which is absurd. But it's just like, yeah, okay, well, of course you're going to. But it doesn't take away from what it was.
Well, they've come to the defense of more terrible things in the last calendar year.
No kidding.
Don't you hate Pat?
Yeah. But it's just like, and regardless of anything that Coyle did, doesn't change what Keith did.
Right.
That's the part that blew me away. It's like, I don't care what Coyle did. And everything that Coyle did, if you want to call his stick hitting Keith's face as he hits him a cross check to the face, that's not at all what it is. But if you want to call it that, whatever. And the slew stick, which is a term that was completely invented in the past 6 days for some reason, again, not something Coyle was intending on doing, because that's a great way to break a stick. But neither one of them was done with any kind of intent whatsoever. Both of them were very defensible, hard hockey plays, going after the puck, no less. What Keith did was none of those things.
No.
And so defending it on the basis that, well, he got cheap-shotted. Well, not really, and that doesn't matter, because it's a completely different act what Keith did versus what Coyle was doing. It just, I don't know. I don't want to rant on it, because ultimately I think it is what it is, and it's like you said, it's the NHL. What were we expecting? Were we expecting a solution to the problem where it's like, oh yeah, that sounds totally fair? No, that never happens. That almost never happens. The only time where we thought, oh wow, that was fair, was the Torres suspension, and it was half a freaking season, where everyone was like, yeah, that makes sense. This guy's a dirtbag. You should suspend him for half a year, because he's never going to learn unless you do. I think that's maybe the one time where the Department of Player Safety, hit the nail on the head, and all the fans were in one, basically like 99% agreement with it.
First of all, shout to Kari Wallen, who we met at the Wild Twitter gathering a few weeks ago. She made a rather fantastic, she makes the music parody videos, essentially, for the Wild that like Russo and Suhan kind of promote, and she made one for the Keith play this week, and I did enjoy it, and I probably laughed a lot harder when it got to the part about finding a third wife. So, I told her that. So I'll give her a shout for that. But just when it comes to the NHL and getting suspensions of this magnitude right, they don't.
They don't.
And
give up.
I don't know. To me, it just kind of feels like they almost need a change in leadership.
Again?
But that's just kind of a whole nother debate for a whole nother day. But I'll just kind of say that, until maybe there's a change at the very top, you're just going to see the same things from this league. And, that's kind of disappointing, because I told somebody earlier today, I love the sport of hockey, but I hate very much the organization the NHL is right now.
Yeah.
And just so much of everything. Like, just marketing. They're so bad at marketing this league and their players. I mean, for crying out loud, Nicholas Backstrom, don't get me wrong, who's a very good player, is on one of the more premium advertisements for the NHL for the Geico commercial. Again, not to disrespect Nicholas Backstrom, who's a great player, but there's probably about 10 or 15 other players I would put in that spot before him.
Yeah, you got to wonder what Geico is thinking with that situation.
I don't know, marketing and, player safety obviously is a big one. Like, I feel like the league could be doing a hell of a lot more to make this game safer. As much as I know they want to try and increase scoring in this league, it just feels like they should be doing a lot more to make the game safer. I don't know. There's just been a lot of questionable messages sent out from the NHL executive offices in the last year that really kind of rubs me the wrong way.
And you're not even talking about that email chain.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing in itself. And
no, I don't disagree, and it is frustrating, and it just feels like there's what the fans want, and there's what the league wants, and it just feels like a lot of times they're two different things. Yeah, and it just, and it just, there's so many decisions where it's just like, God, you just did not get that right. And suspensions certainly seem to be one of them, and I don't know how much the NHLPA has to do with it. I don't know how much they fight the actual suspensions, but I understand that they're kind of playing with a two-edged sword where it's like, you want to protect your union members, but at the same time, you also want to protect their ability to make money. So it's like, I realize they're walking a tightrope, but it just feels like a lot of the times, the NHL misses the mark on a lot of things, and it's just like, I don't wonder why the NHL is a niche sport still. I don't at all. And then it turns into, oh my God, we don't have enough casual fans. We need to make the nets bigger. We need to add shootouts. We need to do 3-on-3 overtime. We need to do blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just don't think any of that stuff is going to help rake into the casual fan. The shootouts certainly didn't help, and I wrote a blog post on this earlier this season after a very angry Twitter rant about it, where it's just like, bigger nets isn't going to make the sport more popular. I mean, if bigger nets made the sport more popular, soccer would rule America. Like, that just it doesn't work. And I'm not so much worried about, like, the sanctity of the records and stuff like that. It's just, to me, it's just like, well, why? Why do that? Why make a change that is going to not positively affect your sport at all, except for, I don't even know. It can't even be worth a goal a game, depending on how much bigger you make the nets. And it's just like, that doesn't seem to me like that's going to get people flocking through the turnstiles. And what it's going to do is it's going to change the game, and it's going to have unintended consequences, because those kind of things almost always do, but maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just the goalie inside.
The thing that gets me with, like, making the nets bigger is, I just feel like they're just so easily dismissing the fact that, goalies in this age are so much more athletic and just more skilled at their position. Like, they spend their whole lives becoming a goalie.
Yeah.
And I don't know if adding a couple more inches to the net is going to make a difference, because that's how it is. Goalies are pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we can. I think we can move on, since we've killed enough time talking about how terrible the NHL is.
Which could be a podcast in and of itself. Yeah. But we could move on.
So I guess while they've played 80 games, they're 5 points.
Yeah, Yeah, still 5 points
5
up.
points up on Colorado. The Wild only have 2 games left, but the Avalanche have 3.
Yep.
So that's why the Wild haven't officially clinched a playoff spot. The Wild play on Tuesday, and then they have a long break until Saturday. They play the Sharks Tuesday at home, and then the Calgary Flames at home Saturday to close out the regular season. You know what, the magic number at 2 now, as we've seen tonight.
Oh, it's at 1, isn't it?
Basically, what?
Because the Avs lost, it's at 1.
I thought it was 2.
Because with a Wild win and an Avs loss, it was
0.
right.
But
So if the Avs lost.
So that was 2. So the Avs left 2 points on the table.
Oh, you're talking in terms of points? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just talking wins, losses. Same difference.
You know, you gotta win. Just win.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy way to solve that problem.
I feel like I've been beating that drum for about the last 15 podcasts. You gotta win. You gotta win the week.
Well, they were doing well with that for a little while, and then last week, as I don't want to say as predicted, but the wheels came off, and then I don't know how many people that actually surprised, because we're not surprised by this team anymore. I mean, we are or we aren't. Or it's just like, I don't know, maybe you're surprised that you're still surprised. That this team still has the possibility to surprise you with the things that they do, both positive and negative. You'd think by now that we'd seen it all, but we haven't. And it's just like, I don't know. It's very... It feels like it's very taxing. You know, this season is very taxing, and it's just like, I don't know, not that you root against them, certainly, especially going to the playoffs, but it's just like, it's when this team finally does get eliminated, I feel like this season it's going to be such a relief. Like, either way, it's going to be disappointing, because I think we're kind of past that threshold already where no matter what happens at this point, it's kind of a disappointing season, but it just you don't know. You just kind of throw your hands up as a fan right now, and you really have.
That's about all I've done here in the last 4 weeks. Would it surprise me for them to win Tuesday night and clinch? No. Would it surprise me for them to lose and it has to go to the Saturday night game for them to clinch? No. Nothing surprises me with this team anymore, to be honest. Like, it's just, basically at this point, I just don't get my hopes up. You know, don't let my guard down, because like we've done that the last couple of years and more or less this year, and it just doesn't work. I guess to sum up this week, you know, just win and get in, and, you know, we'll take it from there, and that's about as much analysis as we can probably give on the week ahead.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, seeing how this team is basically guaranteed a playoff spot, I think that the playoffs give like a clean slate, and I don't know that there's any team that needs a clean slate more than this one, because the history that they're working off of, you know, especially this whole up and down business that they've done with Torchetti, it's just like they need for records to not matter anymore. They need for, you know, the season to be irrelevant at this point. They need for just the complete tunnel vision forward kind of mentality. And they're not in there right now because, you know, the sins of Wild past are keeping them from clinching a playoff spot right now, basically. So they're still very much living with, you know, their inconsistencies right now. But once those playoffs start, it's a new season. And I think this team, you know, mentally, as we've talked about, you know, this team kind of rides the wave emotionally. So maybe getting that reset button of a new season, you know, that's kind of their only hope, really. I mean, that's the only thing they have going for them, is that maybe they can reset a little bit.
Yeah, could do wonders.
Yeah,
but they have to get there first. I was hoping we would have some kind of clinched playoff scenario where we could, kind of get a little segment on that to this podcast about who they would play, but since they didn't, we're not. So that just killed about, I don't know, however long of a segment.
Yeah.
So we're gonna maybe we're gonna skip ahead. We're gonna skip through that. I tried to do a Q&A on Twitter, but I got legit 2 questions.
And one was Dan, so
I didn't count Dan.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I think they were both from Aaron Berger.
Oh, okay.
But I think we'll save this segment for a different time since I wasn't feeling the questions on this.
That's unfortunate.
But so I guess we'll jump into our trademark jersey segment.
Should I play our new drop for that? I think it's time to play our new drop for the jersey segment. All right, hold on. Here we go.
Not Team USA. Yes, it is. They've got on new uniform. They're wearing the logo of the Duck.
Okay. I don't know how loud that was because I actually had the mics on too, so hopefully it was audible.
God bless that audio. God bless it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
That whole scene from Mighty Ducks, I texted you earlier. It's like there's just so much I can do with that. I don't even know. The possibilities are really quite endless. So expect to hear a lot of that from now on, basically.
Good. I would expect to give the listeners nothing less than Mighty Ducks audio clips on
as
this
much
podcast.
Mighty Ducks as we can possibly squeeze into one podcast.
But since both of the teams that are upcoming this week have already been covered in our jersey segments at one previous point, we're going to look at the Jets since the Wild just played them Sunday night.
Sure.
And we kind of skipped over them for a while, so we'll hit on them and, we'll count the previous Jets history since I think we did cover the Coyotes and we didn't hit on the Jets. Or did we?
I don't even remember.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did either, but you kind of have to because it's the same team and all that, and that doesn't exist anywhere else in the NHL. But the unfortunate part about the team, if we were just limited to talking about their current jersey set, it's the only jersey set they've ever had, and on top of that, it's kind of brutally boring. So, I don't know. Obviously, we love the originals. The originals were just a fantastic jersey. The logo was no.
Well, no. I was saying yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say it's hard to go against the Winnipeg Jets. Just the name Winnipeg Jets, and you look at all the crests they've ever had, and it's hard to just say there have been better sets than that. There's not many, if any, that have ever been better in this league.
Yeah, so, with this current set, I don't know. It's certainly boring, but is it bad?
Well, I think maybe the jerseys leave more to be desired, which is a fair thing to say. But I love the crest. I think they got that dead on for not being able to hit on anything from a previous Winnipeg Jets standpoint. The F-16 over the Canada Leaf is about as good as you can get. I just looking at the jerseys. Maybe I don't get the stripes on the sleeves.
It could be worse.
Like I said, there's not a whole lot they could have done there. Obviously, maybe going forward, they might try and change it up, add another jersey, but I felt they did a pretty good job.
Yeah,
what they had.
And their logo is got some military connotations to it, and that's cool. Especially given what they had to work with, not being able to just copy and paste from the old franchise. But that's kind of the thing for me, is it's just like there's no homage really, and I don't know how realistic that really is, but or maybe it's there and I just don't know it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something in there that I'm missing, but it feels like there's no nod to the former franchise. And I don't know. I just feel like there should have been. Like there was. If you want to run with a whole new logo, that's fine. I mean, obviously, you can only do so much with. I don't even know what trademarks are in play there, but I don't know. I just would have liked to have seen, and I don't even know what it would be. I don't have that level of graphic artistry in me, but just some kind of nod, some kind of very subtle hint, some kind of something harkening back to the old franchise. I don't know what. You think that's even possible, or?
Well, I don't know if it's possible. One, because the whole Coyotes having their franchise records and whatnot, but you'd think they'd be able to since they got the name.
Yeah,
but I don't know. That's such a weird situation, but. Just looking back on what they had, and that was just a solid set of logos, solid set of jerseys. I think the Solani Jets jersey is one of my all-time favorites.
Yep.
I could make a fine collection of just having Solani jerseys. There's a Solani Jets. There's a Solani Mighty Ducks.
Yeah.
But
Sharks.
It's hard to go against the Winnipeg Jets for having some of the better logos and jerseys in NHL history, or maybe not best, but maybe the best revered jerseys and logos.
Yeah, I think they're looked upon very fondly, and they should be.
It was neat to be there at the NHL draft when the Jets became the reality.
Yep.
There were a lot of Winnipeg fans there, and they were all wearing old Jets jerseys. So that was kind of a neat thing to see. And as everybody's no doubt aware, I have a good thing with the fine people of Winnipeg. So it's
that way they let you in the city still.
So I guess I don't know how much more we can add to the Jets, but
those bingo sheets are really empty with the lack of 90s third jerseys for us to talk about.
I think maybe that ended, thankfully. I guess that'll wrap it up, unless you have any lasting Jets jersey thoughts.
No. Do you have one? No,
I don't.
I would like a Solani.
I would like to get that Solani jersey in my collection.
That's one that I've looked for, but I don't think I've been able to find.
It's just always so uber expensive.
There's a lot of them like that.
Weirdly, you can buy some new Jets jerseys with Solani on the back.
That to me
just doesn't make sense, but.
It's such a jersey foul, and it's just like the only time that ever actually happens is when players come back for like a drop the puck ceremony type thing, and it's just like, well, your jersey isn't commemorating that. I'm almost positive. Right. So let's just not pretend like it is. And let's get like the and I guess it's part of being a jersey nerd, but let's get the historically accurate jersey here. Let's I just
they can,
So
I would certainly think the Jets can.
And plus that is weird. It's just like even if he did come out one time and drop the puck, whoopee. He never played a game in that jersey. Why do you want that jersey? I don't know if they're like factory mistakes that these are happening, or why on earth people would be doing this on purpose. But please stop. Please stop putting old players on new jerseys. It doesn't look good. I beg of you.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. Yeah. So I guess since we kind of had to cut a few segments out of our podcast, we can jump to our final segment, make it a little shorter podcast this week.
Actually keep it under an hour.
Considering that next week will probably be a bigger show for our 50th podcast.
Woo!
Hopefully the Wild get in the playoffs so we can have something to look forward to. But for our last segment, for the non-hockey crowd, you might not like that, but we are baseball fans, and it is opening day. Today is Sunday. Today was opening day. Had a couple of games, and Twins open up tomorrow on Monday against Baltimore out in Maryland. So I guess what are you looking forward to this fine baseball season?
Well, I'm much more of a macro baseball fan than anything. I am a Twins fan to an extent, and I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing this young team get better. But all in all, I really get into the prospect side of baseball. I get into the young superstar side of baseball with my Dynasty Fantasy League and stuff. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of the young guys come up. I'm looking forward to seeing the Corey Seagers, the Julio Uriases of the world. Full seasons out of guys like Chris Bryant and Miguel Sano, players like that. I'm really into that kind of stuff, because of the fantasy league that I'm in, and so I really enjoy seeing a lot of that. From the Twins standpoint, like I said, I'm excited to see their young players come up. It kind of causes a rift a little bit because I feel like a lot of Twins fans are very impatient with this team, and I understand that. But you still have to see that they're on the right track. So looking forward to the kids, but not not going too crazy with it, I guess, would be my overall kind of viewpoint on the season.
Yeah, I guess I kind of hope that this team takes a step forward this year. And I was a little more negative than for most of the off season, and then I had a chat with our good friend John Bonus, and he kind of blew smoke at me. So I really just got this high dosage of optimism about the Twins, and so I guess for me, I don't maybe expect them to make the playoffs. I more or less just expect them to be there at the end, in the last week or two, fighting for a playoff spot. And there's still pitching concerns and whatnot, but I think hitting wise, this team is very good, and it'll just come down to pitching and maybe how long they keep Jose Barrios stashed away in AAA instead of having Ricky Nolasco tossing meatballs every fifth day.
I don't mind it because my expectations for this team aren't really so much on the competing side of things, because I feel like there's still a little bit of time away, and truth be told, the pitching outside of Barrios is not really there, and that's. So, I don't know. Something is going to happen with them, finding some pitching in a lot of ways besides Jose Barrios, which I think he's going to be good, but, he's not going to be Clayton Kershaw. He's not going to be Madison Bumgarner. I'm fine with him being held down for, the requisite amount of time for them to get more team control out of him, because I value those years in the future much more than I do this season. So I wasn't upset about the whole Nolasco thing. It's April. He'll probably lose his job by May, so that's fine. That's what he's there for. He's a placeholder, a very, very expensive placeholder. But he's also never been healthy with the Twins either. So, maybe he becomes somehow magically a serviceable pitcher out of nowhere for at least a couple of months until Brios is called up. Other than that, it's just like I don't have that lofty of expectations for this team, even less so than you. Like I think this team hovers around 500, and that's probably just fine by me as far as where this team is at youth wise. I mean, we still don't even know what we're getting out of Byron Buxton this season because I kind of championed this cause last year, but he was called up early last year, and he really kind of left a lot to be desired with the way that he played last year. So, getting a full season out of him and getting him on some kind of track to stardom is going to take some time.
The thing with Nolasco is, and we disagreed on this on Twitter
yes.
in the week. The thing is the American League is such a huge crapshoot that, giving away, starts like that in April could come back to haunt you in September when you really need those wins. And so I guess that's more the reason why I'm angry that Duffy got sent down, who didn't have a good spring, but they more or less were trying to work on a new pitch with him, and I don't know how much that had to do with it, but I'm optimistic. I'm on Team 2016 as copyrighted by a friend of the podcast, Clarence Swaptown. Between him and John, they've talked me up into Team 2016 so much that I'm on board.
I guess
so
that's...
I got to have something to hope for. We watch a hockey team that just mails it in every other night, and the Timberwolves have been horrible for a decade, and
that's just it, though.
The Vikings continue to Viking.
Yes,
so
that's what they do.
Something's got to go right.
I'm not Team 2016, and I guess that's the difference in the whole Nolasco outrage. Is just like, I don't expect this team to compete this year. I mean, did they last year? Kind of, but they were really kind of out of it already in August. I don't know that they're going to be a whole lot better this year, and I don't know why they would be. It's basically the same team, and again, you don't know what you're getting out of Buxton, and you're not getting that much more time out of Sano than you did last year. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just too patient, and the whole. I really like what the Wolves are doing. I mean, I think they should be patient. They're building things the right way. I think the Twins are much of the same thing, and I think with baseball, you just have to be a little more patient. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that makes me Team 2017 or what exactly, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, you're firmly in the camp of Team 2017.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm on Team 2016. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. God help me. But, yeah, I think that can just about wrap it up for this week.
Sure.
We will be back next week to either wrap up the wild season or break down the postseason that's imminent.
Yeah.
We might have a few guests on hand. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's also our 50th episode, so actually we probably will have a guest since it's our 50th episode.
Why not?
What.
Sure.
Golden episode.
Okay.
Despite our audio equipment's best efforts to not get us to 50, we'll be at 50 next week. So, yeah, there you go. There was the big sigh for the podcast. as I think ahead to the next week, all you can do is hope for the best.
Yeah.
With this team.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll wrap it up. You can find Ben and I on the Twitter machine at Ben Remington, at Giles Farrell. You can find us writing at wildextra.com all week, forever, on the internet. So, God, I need to learn
running out of gas here, Giles.
Yeah, I'm losing it. My mind's wandering. All right, so we will see you next week, and happy trails.
St. Paul, Minnesota. Minneapolis, Minnesota.
We are ducks, and ducks fly together.